So former Vice President Mike Pence has declared that he will not testify to the January 6th committee about the crimes of Donald Trump. Well, you know what, Mike? You may want to buckle up, because I have a feeling there's a whole nother kind of subpoena headed your way. Let's talk about that, because justice matters. Hey all, Glenn Kirshner here. So former Vice President and abject coward Mike Pence has declared that he will not testify before the January 6th House Select Committee investigating the insurrection. He will not testify about the crimes of Donald Trump. So first of all, here's what Mike Pence said about his unwillingness to testify before the January 6th committee. Pence had put an end to the question of whether he would agree to speak with the committee before it wraps its investigation, telling CBS News, "I am closing the door on that. But I must say, again, the partisan nature of the January 6th committee has been a disappointment to me." And now here's the reporting from CNN. Headline, January 6th committee pushes back on Pence closing the door on his potential testimony. And that article begins, the House Select Committee investigating January 6, 2021 on Wednesday pushed back on former Vice President Mike Pence's recent comments that Congress has no right to his testimony and that he was closing the door on it. And this quote from the committee. Quote, the Select Committee has proceeded respectfully and responsibly in our engagement with Vice President Pence, so it's disappointing that he is misrepresenting the nature of our investigation while giving interviews to promote his new book, said Representatives Benny Thompson and Liz Cheney, who serve as the panel's chair and vice chair, in a joint statement. Quote, the Select Committee has consistently praised the former Vice President's refusal to bow to former President Donald Trump's pressure to illegally refuse to count electoral votes on January 6th. But his recent statements about the Select Committee are not accurate, they added. Okay, friends, I have a few thoughts about this. When witnesses testify, whether before a grand jury, a trial jury, or a congressional committee, they are administered an oath. They swear to tell the truth. Now, in criminal trials, for example, that oath is usually administered by either the clerk of the court or sometimes the judge. In the Army, where I started as a prosecutor in the 80s, as an Army JAG prosecuting court-martial cases, in the Army's criminal justice system, the prosecutor administers the oath. So as an Army prosecutor, what we call a trial counsel, I administered the oath to witnesses hundreds of times in court-martial cases. And I can still remember it like rote, right? Please raise your right hand. Do you swear or affirm that the evidence you shall give in the case now in hearing shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God? Mike Pence just published a book. What's the title of Mike Pence's new book? So help me God. The last clause of the oath he would be administered if he deigned to testify about the crimes of Donald Trump. But he is refusing to testify. So I think Mike Pence has taken irony to a whole new level by titling his new book, So Help Me God. Second observation. In his book, Mike Pence talks about Donald Trump's crimes, including how Donald Trump was pressuring him to violate the law, to not perform his sworn duties when he was presiding over the Electoral College count. He was basically soliciting election fraud. He was also trying to impede or interfere with the duties of a government official. Take your pick. Plenty of crimes to go around. And in his book, Mike Pence openly talks about Donald Trump's crimes. Mike Pence has been giving interviews to the media, not surprisingly, trying to hawk his book. Did I mention the title is So Help Me God? Trying to hawk his book, again, talking openly about Donald Trump's crimes. But Mike Pence won't go before the January 6th House Select Committee investigating the insurrection, investigating Donald Trump's crimes. You know, when I saw that this morning, yeah, it kind of made my head want to explode. So I do what I often do when I see something that makes my head want to explode. I put finger to phone and send out a tweet. And this is what I wrote this morning. Mike Pence is profiting off Donald Trump's crimes against our nation, but is unwilling to protect our democracy by testifying to the J6 committee. What kind of unpatriotic stuff is that? Okay, friends, third and final observation. You know, Mike Pence can refuse to appear before the January 6th committee while simultaneously talking about the crimes of Donald Trump in his book and in media interviews, profiting off of telling the stories about Donald Trump's crimes. He can duck and dodge and deflect his civic responsibility to go in and tell the January 6th committee, and by extension, we the people, about Donald Trump's crimes. He can continue to do that. He can even fight a congressional subpoena if the J6 committee subpoenas him. He can go into court and try to convince a court that they have no right to subpoena him as a private citizen. They do, but Mike Pence can do all that. But you know what? There's an offer that Mike Pence can't refuse. A federal grand jury subpoena. Because the grand jury in Washington, D.C. is investigating the crimes of Donald Trump. And I have a feeling a grand jury subpoena is headed Mike Pence's way. Because justice matters. Mike Pence, the anti-patriot. Friends, as always, please stay safe, please stay tuned, and I look forward to talking with you all again tomorrow.